Hey everybody, Crafting Journey here, out for my walk. It is National Fried Chicken Day. Oh, that's what I had for dinner last night. So funny. Also, I have a new trial for you today. Yeah, 2 men and a woman, and it doesn't end well. So stay tuned. Good morning, Crafting Journey here. That Journey chick over on Instagram. Check me out on Instagram. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. Well, I've got a good one for you today. A brand new trial that just started. Another love triangle. Just like yesterday, this one does not end well. I'll tell you all about that in a few. It's also National Fried Chicken Day, which is what we had for dinner last night. Luckily, there's leftovers. So fried chicken came from the Scottish. They brought that over to the U.S. They had a tradition of deep frying their chicken, and over time there was seasoning and breading added to it to make it flavorful. But and here's something I didn't know about fried chicken. I always sucked at making fried chicken, that you should put some starch in your flour. Didn't know that. Maybe that's where I was going wrong. Don't know. But also, you need to, after you fry it, you have to let it rest. Just like a steak or a burger, you got to let the chicken rest to reabsorb all those juices. Otherwise, you're going to get greasy crust. So that's my tidbit about fried chicken. Do you guys like fried chicken? Yeah, we had it with potato salad last night. You know, some people have potato chips, corn on the cob, you know, whatever you like with your fried chicken. But how do you like my butterfly? Ooh, I think it's purty. Anyway, don't forget to hit the like button. He still making the coffee. He only made half a pot, and I distinctly said make a whole pot today. So he's in there trying to figure out how to make the other half. Please hit the like button. Please consider subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. But don't forget the notification bell. Hit all so you don't miss a single episode of Crafting and Crime. And one more new feature to YouTube down in the bottom. Yeah, where you hit the like button on one end, on the other end it says thanks. That's a super thanks button. Just like when I'm live, and you can do a super chat and donate money if you enjoy the content, or you just want me to buy another weird ice cream. I haven't gone shopping yet. So you can hit super thanks if you want to make a one-time donation to the channel, and it goes to support the content of the channel. And that is my spiel for today. Also tonight, I know I wasn't done. She's like, but there's more. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Tonight, Wambui made it. One of my favorite people in the whole world, Wambui. She'll be on my channel. She's a YouTuber. She's a loom knitter. I have been friends with her for a couple years now, and I just love this woman. So she has recently put out a video on how to make a house sock. So I will show you my version of the house sock. I think I put a picture in here yesterday. Maybe she can help me tell me where I went wrong. Because I have more toes than in the sock than I do on my foot. Anyway, she'll help me with it. That's at 6 p.m. Central. What was the other thing? Oh, tonight, I'm taping it. Big Brother starts. Oh my God. Such a huge fan of Big Brother. Love it. Ooh, maybe I'll do a separate video covering Big Brother for the Big Brother fans. I love Big Brother. Oh my God. I'm so excited for this. Yeah. Big Brother, The Amazing Race, Survivor. Those are all my favorites. I love reality television. That bottom line. Oh, last night I was watching another reality show. It's a documentary about gold in Alaska. Remember, I've been contemplating moving to Alaska. Well, there's a little town. Well, it's an island called Adak, A-D-A-K. And it's like, if you look at Alaska, and there's all these little islands that go across the Pacific. There's one that's like almost to Japan. The U.S. used to have a military base on this island. And there's this famous pirate that dropped off all these gold coins that we put them in cans, and he buried them on the island, like millions of dollars of gold coins. Now, 2 of the cans were found by military people while it was occupied by the military base. Now, the military have left this island, and the island now only has 45 residents, and they have no money for infrastructure. So they're assembled a team of people to find the rest of this gold so they can spend money on infrastructure and get people to move out here. Now, I wonder if there's any jobs. In ADAC, there is a runway for planes to go in and out. Yeah, because there's probably, I know there's one restaurant, but I don't know about like a grocery store. I mean, it's only 45 people, but it's a beautiful place, beautiful, except for all the crappy buildings that the military left behind. Nothing. I don't have anything against the military. I was raised in the military, but you know, they just left a bunch of crappy buildings behind. So let's. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh! All right, so we're working on this. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not been doing a lot of crafting because I have a really bad. I think it's tendonitis. It's right in here. It is like a 10 on the scale of pain. It's ridiculous. Worse than the knee. So I just thought if I took a few days off from crafting, maybe it would feel better. But I'm still typing all, you know, at work, typing, which I'm sure it aggravates it, but, you know, whatever. Okie dokie. So you guys were on board with me about getting rid of the guns. Yay. Thank you. Support. Now, if we could just convince Congress to do it, right? Get rid of the guns. Where's my thing? Okay, there we go. Okay. So Kevin Eastman, he is a 56-year-old man. He is on trial for 2 first-degree murders. The murder of Scott Sessions, a jazz musician, and Heather Frank. Now, let me just start by saying, you know, I love to watch these trials, but I literally tried to watch the opening statements 3 times. I could not follow what this woman was talking about. Like, by the 3rd time, I kind of got it, because by then I'd heard some of the testimony, but in fact, one of the jurors fell asleep during her opening. Not that it was boring, it was just confusing. I don't know if it was my brain, you know, if I was with brain fog yesterday, or I just could not follow this opening. To save my life, I could not follow this opening. I didn't even got to the defense opening because I just couldn't get through the plaintiff's opening. Anyway, Mr. Eastman had been in a long-term relationship with Heather Frank, and there was a history in their relationship of domestic violence. So she moves away from him. She goes to Colorado into this Greeley community, and she thinks, okay, I'm good. I'm safe here. And she meets Scott Sessions. She goes to this jazz show. Now, in reality, she had only seen Scott maybe twice in IRL, in real life. They texted a lot over Facebook Messenger after they met. And they may have met one more time, but the 3rd time he goes to meet her, man, he walks in the door of her home and he is ambushed by Kevin Eastman, shot and wrapped in plastic, and his body's taken somewhere else and burned. Then later on, they find Heather Frank's body, same thing, wrapped in plastic, attempted to burn, but it didn't happen. So here's the testimony from yesterday. We first get the snowplow driver. He was out first thing that morning. They'd had 4 to 5 inches of snow the night before. I mean, we're talking about Colorado here. 4 to 5 inches of snow the night before. So fresh snow. Keep that in mind. So they go out to this, he's up in this area where it's just dense forest, but, roads nonetheless, because people have to get in and out by this road. And he sees smoke, and he's like, did somebody start a fire and didn't put it out? What is that? So he stops his truck and he gets out and he walks into the forest for a little ways to see where the smoke is coming from. And he sees this log, and he approaches the log and he sees that it's burning like from underneath the log. The smoke is coming from underneath the log. So he walks around to the other side of the log. It's we're talking, it's a tree that has fallen down. He walks to the other side thinking, maybe I can roll it over and put the fire out. Well, when he walks to the other side, he sees the body of Scott Eastman. And he's like, oh, crime scene. Psh, he booked it out of there. So he goes back to his truck, calls his dispatch, says, we need 911. I found a dead body. And she's like, could you give me a little bit more information? So he says, I saw smoke. I got out to see if there was some kind of fire. And I found a dead body. The next person, now this happens on February 11th or 12th. I wasn't really sure. They're not being very forthcoming with the dates here. But in any case, we next get Justin Williamson, the sheriff. He comes out and, they call 911. He comes out. He sees that there's a body here. It is burned from the waist up, and it looks like the upper part of the body was covered in plastic. Now, he did see fresh footprints. Now, this is the interesting part. This jury is allowed to ask questions. My dogs are barking at God knows what. We'll wait. They're going to wake up my sister. Anyway, this jury's allowed to ask questions, and they ask a very good question. That, can you give us the sequence of the footprints that you found, like old, new, that kind of thing, because there was fresh powder there. So the sheriff said, good question. There was fresh footprints, which I knew to be the snowplow driver and myself. There were footprints on the north side of the log that were older, that were underneath the fresh snow. So, okay. Good question, jury. I love jury questions. Some people hate it. I love them because they think of things I would never have thought of. Then we get to his father, Lance Sessions. And yeah, you have to see this guy. I'll see if I can put a picture of him up there. He looks like somebody that put on a wig and makeup to make themselves look old, that they really probably look young. I don't know if I'm describing that well, but he's very, very gray. He's gray haired, but he doesn't, his face, and I don't know. He looked younger, but he looked like a person who was maybe disguising himself to look older, but we know that's not the case. Anyway, he just said how his wife is in a convalescent home. He said that he has two sons, Stephen and Stanley. Now, Stanley goes by Scott. His middle name is Scott, so he uses Scott. He was born in March 25th, 1966, and was making a living as a professional musician. He played the trumpet. He was in a band called the Movers and the Shakers. He'd been in this band for 5 years. They were doing gigs. They were doing very well. And he was really enjoying himself. He was competing in these blues competitions. He had just done one and done very well. And he was very excited. And he had come over to his father's house. This is the last time his father saw him. I'm going to strangle those dogs. So he comes over to his father's house. They make plans to go visit Mom the next day. And the next day comes and goes, and he doesn't show up. Now, he had told his father, I'm going out to Forest Hill to meet with some people. Never mentioned that he was stopping in Greeley. Never mentioned that he had a girlfriend. But apparently that's the night he stopped in Greeley and was murdered. Now, the father You know, his son doesn't show up the next day, but he doesn't think that it's terribly unusual. So he doesn't do anything. And then a few days later, he's contacted by one of Scott's band members who said, listen, we had a gig, and he didn't show up, you know. And so now they get the police involved. They file a missing persons report. And it's later that day, he gets a phone call. He says, can you come down to the police station and meet with us at 4 o'clock? So he goes down at 4 o'clock, and they put him in a room, and they sit there and tell him what they found, and that this is they positively identified this body to be his son's. Oh, that's sad. Now, the father takes the detectives out to his son's home, and he has the key to get in. He lets them in their home. And they pick up a few items of interest, including they look in his vehicle, and they see that he's got beer in his vehicle. Now, the father says he's allergic to beer, so I don't know why there would be beer in his vehicle. They also picked up his computer, and they were able to access all of his social media. And apparently, everything that he texted on Facebook Messenger, was printed out. The jury got to read it. We saw none of it, heard none of it. All of his communications between Heather, Frank, and himself, Scott Sessions, was shown to the jurors, and all the way up till February 14th. Now, which confused me, because I'm like, wait a minute. We know Scott Sessions died on February 8th. This is established later on. We haven't got to that testimony yet. But I did get that much out of the openings, that he was killed on February 8th. So who's texting her on Facebook Messenger? And how did they get access to Scott's account? Other than Facebook Messenger, they were not communicating any other way. There was no other social media where they were communicating. It was just Facebook Messenger. Don't you love Facebook Messenger? Yeah. Then they bring in Elizabeth Davis, a.k.a. Pork Chop. PC. So, yeah, people call me Pork Chop. I don't know why. She's a manager, bartender of this bar up in Colorado. And the police ask for surveillance video from her place. So they brought her on the stand to establish that it was kept in the ordinary course of business, and it's a business document, and blah, blah. You know, they have to authenticate the surveillance. But they didn't show it. She said, no, I'm going to show that during some other detective's testimony. Okay, what does it show? I don't know. We didn't get to that. Okay, so that's where I left off with the trial. I will try to go back, at least listen to the openings of the defense, because I just got to skip the plaintiff. I can't even go there again because it was horrible. Now, I like this judge. He's very, very, let's say, formal. He leaves the courtroom, has the jury brought in. Everybody has to stand. The jury comes in. Then he comes in. Okay. And it's all, may I approach? Yes, you may. May I enter this into evidence? Yes. And you may publish. He's very formal. I like him, though, so far. And they have set up Bluetooth. So if he wants, instead of having these constant sidebars, he'll say, put on your Bluetooth. So all the attorneys go over to their desks. They put on their Bluetooth. We can't hear what's being said. It's just their conversation between them, and that's their version of a sidebar. How cool is this technology? Wow, Bluetooth! I love it. And they have the screens. All the jurors have screens so they can see the evidence as it's being shown. It's a pretty cool setup. So let's switch gears and talk about this day in history. In 1957, Althea Davis is the first African-American woman to win Wimbledon. Good for you. 5'11", this woman was tall. She was born in South Carolina, raised in Harlem, but she took up tennis and she just was really good at it. It wasn't until 1975 when Arthur Ashe became the first African-American male to win a title. So she was way ahead of her time. And back then, tennis was largely segregated, but was becoming desegregated very slowly. to the point where, she was so good that people were inviting her to these other tournaments. So that year she was invited to the US Open. She won it. She was featured as the Athlete of the Year by the Associated Press for 1957 and 1958. During her career, she won 56 titles, including doubles titles, and 11 of those were major tournaments. And then in 1958, she won again. She won Wimbledon, she won the US Open again, and then she retired. In 1960, she hooked up with the Harlem Globetrotters, and before the Globetrotters would come out, she would put on exhibition tennis matches. Then in 1964, she switches to golf and becomes really good at golf. She played pro golf until 1971. Now, Althea Gibson passed away in 2003 at the age of 76 from respiratory failure. But what a career she had in sports. Wow. Okay, that's the show for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come tonight to the live at 6 p.m. Central. No crime, just crafting. That's my time to do crafting. I'll have my special guest, Wambui Made It. Hope to see you then. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow. And Crafting and Crime Daily. Bye.